So kind of diving into one of my favorite songs off of Blue Patio, and kind of just of your work, is Numb. And you sing about feeling, again on your Genius page, you kind of go into this a little bit, but you sing about feeling.
I did something on Genius?
Yeah, or maybe, I don't know if...
I think I actually did, I sure did.
You did some for Honest.
Genius.
Yeah.
Okay, I do remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're saying a lot of the lyrics, it talks about like feeling alone, and you are replacing that with, you know, drinking and stuff, and obviously with the music video that you posted where it's like that party and like you get more numb. We kind of like want to elaborate on that idea of like that whole numb feeling and where that kind of came from.
Yeah. That was a good pivotal moment for me, I think. I had a rough semester leading up to that in college, and I was working a lot of hours at work, and I think I had to stay home that winter break instead of going home because I had to work or something like that. And just whenever you get to a space, like for anyone who's gone through, is like when you get to that place where you feel like you're isolated and there's no one around, and like you start to doubt yourself, like, do these friendships that you have, are they truly like genuine, like they haven't reached out to you, they're not coming to hang out, or if it's like with your parents, like you haven't seen them in a bit, it's like that disconnection that you have, or if it's kind of feel that disconnect from people, especially if you like indulge on that and you double down on it. Like I didn't leave my house for a few days at a point, and so it's like it's just you get into this unhealthy rut, and I think that's where the song stemmed from, was just recognizing that things aren't okay and that's okay. And be able to put that in the song form and to be able to build the beat and do those things at once. Like that song was made together, both the beat and the lyrics to it, I guess, and the melody. And it sounded way different the first time. I love the first version.
Yeah, it says like remastered or something. So I was wondering if there was another version.
Oh, yeah. So I had it on my first EP that I did prior to Blue Patio. It's called In Between. It's on my SoundCloud, I think. And that had the original version. With this one, I just re-recorded because the rest of the project was with a new mic and new mixing and a year's worth of learning how to make music. So it would have stuck out. And you can hear actually YouTube video is the old version, and then the new version's what's on streaming. So there's a bit of a difference there. But there was an old version that before it got released that was like super different. Like I love that version. I need to find it. Put that out as soon as I find it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So was that kind of like getting back into what you're saying about where this...
I'm sorry, I
Oh, no, all good. But kind of like where your head was while writing, when this song kind of came from. Was that the first time you felt that way, or like recognized that feeling?
I think it was the first time I was able to put it into words in a way that was digestible, primarily for me to understand. I think this person's cutting their grass at 8 o'clock. My God. I love our neighbors. It's great. I'm sorry, I got derailed. Okay. Just being in that space, I think that was the first time I was able to like fully write it down and like know that I was making a good song in the process of it. And it was very therapeutic to like getting those like the I wanna feel something anything. Once I made that line, like when I made the hook, I was like, okay, cool, this is really good. So like, what else? Like writing the second verse was like, okay, what else about this topic can you like, So just, I guess it was a mix of being in that moment and understanding that I was able to like process it properly with words.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So one thing is, so I want to talk about just albums in general, and knowing that you listen to the Joe Budden podcast, I can kind of get into here. So they a lot about this summer they've been talking about, the whole Kanye West 7-track deal.
Yeah.
And
also Blue Patio is an EP.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, EP. There you go.
Yeah. It just is not correct on Spotify.
Okay.
or I think on Apple.
Yeah, I know there's like a time where it's like EP is like what 40, 30 minutes, something like that. But so what I wanted to ask you was, and obviously you got, these days you got like Drake and Tory Lanez, Bryson Tiller, they all came out with like 20 track albums.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask, what do you think would be the ideal album length?
Right.
Should you, if you were to come out with an album today, how many songs would you put on there?
That's a good question. I think there's a bigger question that you're asking though. I think, or back to what you're saying about like Tory Lanez and Drake and all of them, like if you let's take away quality of the streams or the quality of the songs and just look at why the song amount, like they're going for the mass amount of streams on an album to count towards sales. Right. Whereas like I'm not competing for sales at this point where I'm at right now. Like me, I don't really care to drop on a Friday. Like I'm not trying to get a week's full of sales in that aspect. So like I'm not chasing numbers or rankings or things of that nature. And I know there are artists who do that, who are still making good music, and like you can put out a 15 plus song album. Look at Sahai's album, and it's not saying Scorpion's bad, but you can look at people who do that. But I think it's special when people are creating the album that they want to create, however many songs long. Wow, tripping today. So like if it's only a 10 song album and it's 45 minutes, but everything they wanted to say, versus it being 20 songs long, adding 4 or 5 filler tracks. We've seen that all year this year. So going back to like the Kanye in that whole good music camp, I think the way Daytona was made, like that 7 songs feels like it was supposed to be 7 songs. And granted, he could have threw 4 more heaters on it, but I'm glad it was 7 great songs. Yeah. Versus having 15 fillers after them remove. But if it's an EP, I keep going back, and I keep saying the word going back, but for me, it's like I don't have to call it whatever it is. Like
it's just a project.
The album counting, because the album might count towards someone's label obligations, or it might count, or if it's a mixtape, or if it's an EP, but it's all the same to me. Everything streams the same at this point. So
got you.
if I end up making a bunch of EPs that are solid projects, or if I want to make a 20 song album, like it's whatever sounds best.
So kind of getting into your projects, your latest singles, Help Myself and Pick Up the Phone, they contrast a lot style-wise and lyrics-wise to your other project, Blue Patio. I kind of said like if they were seasons, Blue Patio sounds more of like a winter album to me, and then these two singles sound more like a more upbeat summer vibe. Is this kind of a hint of direction you want to start going into, or was this just a summer thing? Like,
that's a good question. Looking at everything else that has been made along the way, things that might get released, things that are definitely versus things that are not getting released. It's a little bit everywhere. I think not being stuck in either a genre or a sound and be able to create whatever is the most fun to me. And so like if you want to make a upbeat Help Myself dance track, or if I want to make the R&B vibe of Pick Up the Phone, or if I make another honest type of song, like I think that being able to do whatever is versatility, I guess. I think when I drop an album, like a formal album, maybe I want to do a cohesive sound, and maybe I pick a vibe to go after. Right now it's just like figuring out and seeing what I like best, and seeing, I mean, what other people like as well, but mostly like what grooves do I want to be in, and what people am I surrounded by to create that groove.
so Blue Patio is not necessarily, so you're saying like you're still kind of discovering your sound as you go.
of course, I don't think I'm going to ever fully discover that sound. Then I feel like that's the day that I stop being an artist at that point. I feel like being able to evolve and grow and take from things that I enjoyed about something, or if I want to revisit a sound, like to be able to do that, but to be able to always be creating is like, it keeps it fun. It keeps it new and challenging as well.
Yeah, I love that.
And I hope that by doing that, people will enjoy the music, but they get to like enjoy Jay Wile and like what I do as an artist instead of like individual songs. Like I want people who are in love with Honest to then be in love with Jay Wile, the musician, and the music that I make and like what I stand for.
Right.
I think by being myself through the music, I think that gives people the best chance of like listening to me and not just that song I sing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think that's a really good way. Yeah. I think that's a really good way to look at it. And I agree, like you should never stop innovating. You should never stop changing it up, you know, because that's, for me, when I look into an artist, I try and see how versatile they are, how different one project is to the next.
But also it's great whenever like Black's album that just came out is a brilliant album, and it's the same vibe as his first album with some minor adjustments, and like he got better at everything he did the first, and it's like that's the same vibe, and that works for people as well. So it's like I don't mean, and I might go and do that route. Like if I find a vibe I really enjoy, like that's cool too. But at this point, it's like experimenting and finding what sounds cool is like that's a lot more fun to me than trying to like stick to a genre or be like put in the box of like this is what you sing. Yeah, this is not.
Yeah,
I might sing a country album.
Hey man, I'd be down for it.
I'm being super serious.
Hey, man,
I'd be down, dude.
I've been bumping that Mason Ramsey all summer long. I'm just saying, I'm gonna be there day one.
He's pretty good.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, no. We're gonna see Jay Wile on the Migos flow, the triplet flow, real quick. Hey man,
but if it sounds good and if I enjoy it, why not?
Exactly.
Like to be bound by a sound, like, and again, there's no label saying, "What about your brand?" Like my brand could be that I am just whatever I am.
Yeah,
like, that's. I feel like people really connect. Like you look at Joe Budden, like he's brash. Like people love him for that. Like you look at look at your favorite artists. Like they're like real people. I'm trying to think. Cardi B is beloved because like she's who she is.
Exactly.
And that's two biggest stars. I mean, there's other stars too that still do that.
So speaking of some artists, as personally, I hope this doesn't annoy you. We're going to touch back on it again, but
we're gonna go back to it.
Yeah, we're gonna go back to it. Frank Ocean is one of my favorite.
Good callback.
It's one of my favorite. Yeah. Frank Ocean is one of my favorite artists. I'm not saying I hate to compare people just because I don't think it's fair to either one. But you know, undeniably, like people keep saying this over and over. Does that kind of get to your head a little bit? Do you want to like be like, no, I'm Jay, I'm not Frank, stop comparing? Or do you just see it like, yeah, like I take influence from Frank, I take influence from all these other people too. Like, how do you approach that?
Publicly, I approach it the second way because that is the way I want to be at all times. I want to be secure as an artist to like understand people make comparisons, to make it easy on them to figure out what the sound comes from. Like I do it and I catch myself doing it like, oh, that sounds like, I've heard new artists, oh, that sounds like this person or that. And it's like, people do that in the same way. It's like, that's not me being harmful. And I understand no one's trying to be malicious. And I've only seen a handful of people be malicious about it. But most people are just like, I love Frank Ocean, you sound like Frank Ocean, this and that. So like, I get it. And coming from someone who is inspired by Frank Ocean, like that's expected in the same way, like grew up on John Legend, Stevie Wonder, and like I hope those sounds come through as well. I think, I mean, I can't control what people think, and I'm glad it's Frank Ocean. I mean, he's amazing.
Not too bad to be compared to him.
Yeah. So
Well, that's good.
I don't think I've answered that question publicly.
Well, there we go. Now we know. Chester, do you have anything else?
Well, you know what? Like the question that comes with every artist after releasing a new project is what's happening in the future. You know, at this day of age, you know, again, Joe Budden touched on this. Like music,
give him extra shout
I know. Hey, shout out.
Sponsor something.
Put his link in the bio.
Spotify sponsor real quick.
Yeah.
I'm looking for that Spotify sponsor.
Hey, shout out to Apple Music though. Shout out to Apple
Yeah,
Music.
let's give
Yes, sir.
respect.
Yes, sir. Mhm. You know, nowadays music lasts so short. You know, the lifespan of an album is so short. You know, sometimes even just a week. So you're always wondering, you know, what's coming next.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you alluded that you had some stuff in the works. Do you want to talk about when we could be expecting a new Jay Wile single project? You know,
I mean, I definitely got more songs to release.
a couple
soon.
like Lucy's or like, you know, just
I'm not sure what it looks like yet. I mean, we have really going back to just make sure we find that right sound, make sure everything sounds right. So if it's finding the right producers or finding the right mix for songs, or that's where I'm at this point. So there's, I don't want to say, oh, there's probably coming. This is no,
Yeah.
it may not be.
Yeah.
But there will definitely be songs coming soon. Like we have one that's probably gonna come out before the end of the year. I have at least one more song going to drop at least.
Ooh.
I think at this point, my main focus is getting business put together for what's coming up. Like I do have that show in New York coming up a week and a half from now. So this is dropping. I guess it'll be 2 weeks from.
Yeah, this will be on
drops.
Monday. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, 2 weeks. Actually, a week. Wow. Cool. So a week from when this drops, I'll be in New York, and then I have a couple shows here in San Antonio I'll be doing. So just staying active with that, and then getting more like on the road and meeting people is gonna be my biggest goal. And with that, we're gonna have, of course, more music and more visuals coming. We've been doing a lot of work this fall.
So,
for sure.
So there's a lot to be released. I'm not going dormant. That's what I'm trying to say.
yeah. But so 2019 is looking like a big year.
Hopefully.
We'll see. Okay.
Hopefully the growth continues to find itself, and we continue to meet new people. And it's just been everything's gravy for me at this point, y'all. Like I enjoy making music, and people enjoy it as well. And now we're getting to make connections, and this is like what I wanted to do since I was 14.
Wow.
And now I get to like do it.
Yeah.
And do it the right way is most important for me. So it's like, if we take a little time, we'll take a little longer to do, like with me being independent and not having a budget that's coming from another entity, or if it is having someone telling me what to do, is like we can do things our own way and make sure we do it the right way. And that way when I look back on it, like I'm not gonna look back at Blue Patio and say, I wish I didn't do that. Like I'm proud of that project, of like where I was in that moment. I want to continue to do that going forward too.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's exciting. You have a lot of people. You have a lot of eyes on you, from what I know. A lot of people really enjoyed, or are still enjoying, the stuff you've been put out.
Yeah.
And
it's like people are still finding Blue Patio. And
Yeah.
like, some like Honest gets a new audience and gets bumped up, or there's a random song that gets put on a playlist, or something happens to a song. Like there's something new happens every day, so there's new fans coming in. So there's like,
I mean, that's all you can ask for, you know. People are listening,
Yeah.
which is great.